information as we have that. I ask that you hold all your questions till the end, and we'll try our best to answer them, but in the case that we can't, we will follow up with you at the end. Thank you. Chief.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Fairfax County Fire and Rescue units responded to the 14,000 block of Quail Pond Court in Centreville, Virginia, for a reported explosion in a single-family residence. The fire was quickly suppressed as personnel simultaneously addressed an apparent natural gas leak in the vicinity. The incident response, which grew to 2 alarms, transitioned to a hazmat natural gas leak incident, leading to the evacuation of many homes. 1 occupant and 1 neighbor both sustained minor, non-life-threatening injuries and were transported to local hospitals and are subsequently released. Gas service was disrupted to approximately 86 homes, and the evacuation grew to a total of 46 homes. There are both natural gas transmission as well as distribution lines in the area. The Fire and Rescue Department is now assisting both gas companies operating in the area, as well as federal and state agencies, as they work to determine the source of the leak and also maintain safety in our community. Williams Pipeline has isolated their pipeline, which is the transmission line, and continues to monitor their system conditions while also conducting additional monitoring at our request and is committing to continuing that support. Currently, Washington Gas is investigating a loss in pressure within a line at the 5200 block of Belle Plains Drive. Washington Gas will continue to find and repair any leaks associated with the loss in pressure on that line on Belle Plains Drive. It's estimated that this could take 48 hours or longer. Fairfax County reoccupancy plan is zoned out geographically in the area, and the timeline is dependent on 2 outcomes. The first, the location, repair of any of all leaks in compliance with the state and federal authorities operating on site. And then second, the Fairfax County Fire and Rescue Department conducting atmospheric monitoring inside all residences and ensuring that they have normal readings that are maintained prior to them being reoccupied. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Hello, I'm Pat Warren. I'm the director of the NTSB's Office of Rail, Pipeline, and Hazardous Materials Investigations. The NTSB is an independent federal agency charged by Congress with investigating all civil aviation accidents in the United States and significant accidents in other modes of transportation, including the transmission of gas through pipelines. Our mission is to determine the probable cause of accidents, issue safety recommendations, and prevent future events like this from ever happening again. We do not assign blame or liability. We are here on scene to gather perishable evidence, which our team methodically and systematically reviews throughout the course of the investigation to determine the probable cause. This is the beginning of a long process. We do not determine the probable cause while we're here on scene. The probable cause, findings, and any safety recommendations will be included in our final report, which can take 12 to 24 months to complete. However, if during the investigation we identify an urgent safety issue that must be addressed, we can issue an urgent recommendation. Before I share information about the investigation, I want to say to the community that our hearts go out to all of you. We know that the accident has been very unsettling and disruptive. The safety of the community is our top priority and the reason we are here to find out what happened, how it happened, and what recommendations to help ensure it doesn't happen again. Our team of four investigators arrived on scene Monday and expects to remain on scene until we've collected all the perishable evidence and until the area is safe for residents to return. In addition, we have a host of specialists back at our headquarters who are supporting the investigation. The team is led by our investigator in charge, right here next to me to my right, Kim West, who has more than 17 years of experience in pipeline safety. We are also joined by experts from the Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Safety Administration, often called PHMSA, and the Virginia State Corporation Commission. I would like to thank our colleagues from Fairfax Fire Rescue and Fairfax County Police Department, as well as those who have been assisting on the scene. They've been working tirelessly, I got to tell you, to ensure that the area is safe for everyone. A great group. Our investigators are currently working with Washington Gas, Williams Company, and Fairfax Fire and Rescue to test the pipeline infrastructure in the area and confirm its integrity and identifying potential sources of the leak. Teams are currently testing the Washington Gas supply lines, and estimated it will conclude testing in the next few days, as you just heard. At this time, we're focused on the Washington Gas pipeline system, but it is still early in the investigation, and before we leave the site, we will validate if there are any issues with the Williams Company transmission lines that are also located in the neighborhood. Our investigators have also examined the presence of gas in the area in the larger area to better understand what led to the explosion, and they will be interviewing responding organizations to gather additional information about the scene and at the time of the event. In the coming days, we will continue conducting interviews, collecting evidence, and following the work to ensure that any leak is detected and repaired. Witnesses to the accident or those who may have surveillance video or other information that could be relevant to the investigation are asked to contact the NTSB at witness@ntsb.gov. Again, witness@ntsb.gov. Information about the investigation can be found on the ntsb.gov website as well as on X at ntsb_newsroom. We'll take a few questions now, and I ask that when you are called on, you state your name and affiliation before you ask a question. So we're beginning our investigation right now, and we are collecting all the... Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. We're beginning the investigation now. We have a lot of information to collect. That is the kind of information that we will be gathering.
Question from Ben Dennis from DC News Now. Chief, this may be for you, but you had mentioned this, if you're looking at my notes right here, Washington Gas investigating loss of pressure within the 5200 block of Belle Plains Drive. That's, quite a ways away from here. Is this a secondary leak that was identified recently? What's the situation there?
Actually, the house that had the apparent explosion is a corner lot. Belle Plains Drive is along one side of that occupancy or that residence, and Quail Pond is on the other side. So it's right in the vicinity of the initial incident.
So you have found, so when you say loss of pressure, does that identify that is the source of the leak?
Well, I think it's probably most appropriate to say that's the source of a leak. We want to make sure that the area is extensively investigated to make sure that any leaks are found and addressed. But yes, there is a loss of pressure when tested with air, which means when it had gas in it, natural gas in it, that there was most likely a leak of natural gas from that pipeline.
So one leak has been identified, the location has been identified, but potentially more are still being investigated.
And I think I could clarify by saying not necessarily a leak, because the gas company hasn't put eyes on the leak, like the exact portion of the pipe where the leak occurred, but they know the section of pipe where they're losing pressure. So you've heard me talk previously that they're narrowing that scope more and more into a small area of pipe. That's now a section about 1,000 feet long, and we know they know there's a loss of pressure within that 1,000 feet. Now we go to sectioning it off, figuring out exactly where that leak or others may be. No, that's a great point for clarification. So the line along Belle Plains Drive is a distribution line maintained and operated by Washington Gas. The distribution lines on the easement on the other side of the house that exploded are transmission lines maintained by Williams Pipeline.
So could you clarify, this is a distribution line run and owned by WGL? Is that what you're saying the leak is at in this 1,000-foot section?
That's affirmative.
So one other question, if I may follow up with quickly. You've got still a lot of people who are impacted by this. Do you have any timetable in terms of when the residents who have been evacuated will be returning home, and also the shutoffs when they could be turned back on? Any timetable?
Absolutely. The question was, is there any idea of when residences may be reoccupied and what that timetable may look like? And as I mentioned previously, Fairfax County has a plan that's zoned out geographically, and we articulate it that way because if it's determined that certain sections of the transmission line or distribution lines are 100% intact and there's no readings, it's 100% safe for the residents to reoccupy, then we'll reoccupy portions of, but not all of the evacuated area. The timeline is 100% dependent on two things. One, that all the leaks are found and repaired, and two, that the Fairfax County Fire and Rescue Department is able to go into those occupancies, clear all floors of the living area to ensure they have normal atmospheric readings and to maintain that before we put people back in that situation.
Chief, that method for us with WDCA-9, can
Yes, sir.
you clarify, are we expanding the perimeter at all, or is it staying as is?
Unless there are any new findings, the perimeter will maintain the exact size that it is.
And to clarify, is there only one leak or multiple leaks?
I appreciate the question. We know we have a section of distribution line that is losing pressure. That could be one leak, that could be two leaks. That's up to the utility company, Washington Gas, to determine and find and fix.
And how old are these lines?
I would.
Does that have to do anything with the leak as far as the age of these lines?
I'm not a subject matter expert on gas lines. I would say that I would refer that question to Washington Gas.
Chief, really quick, just follow up with the NTSB and just in terms of the timeline. The NTSB had issued some safety recommendations many years ago about the need for advanced leak detection systems and pipelines. You all have said that the pipeline leaks are no problem. In fact, it was your most wanted improvement in 2023. Are those rules in place right now for pipeline systems? And if they're not, can you explain why they're not in place?
So NTSB has put out a recommendation asking for leak detection, recommending leak detection in the different pipeline systems out there. Many of them have them to some degree or another. As for this particular case, it's some information that we still need to gather, and as the investigation goes on, we'll make sure we check on that.
And then let me just ask, is there a representative from Washington Gas here right now?
No.
Okay. So what is your message to people who have questions for Washington Gas and they feel like they have not been responsive? What is their message that you all would like to relay for this neighborhood that's impacted and potentially many more who could be impacted?
Sure. Yeah, I think it'd be fair to say Washington Gas can speak on their own behalf, and I would not even try to represent them. So with
They haven't.
they haven't what?
They haven't spoken on their behalf.
Yeah, I would refer you to their website or their designee. Thank you.
Are you getting cooperation from them? Are they cooperating with you as a party, with the NTSB, as a party to the investigation, sir?
No, the question is Washington Gas a part of the investigation? They are a part of the investigation, and they are cooperating.
Sir, can you explain, I think the general public is probably familiar with the types of things that you're looking for in an aviation incident or maybe a railway incident, maybe less familiar in these types of incidents. Can you explain, generally speaking, the types of evidence that you're looking to gather, the types of questions you're trying to answer when you're looking at an incident like this?
Sure. So the question is, what kinds of things do we ask and look for at these different accidents? We look in three general areas. We look at the environment, how the earth was, how the ground was, how the weather was. Often have some impact on the investigation. We look at the people involved, so the humans involved in it and what they were doing, whether they were technicians, whether they were in a control room or any other phase of the operation, as well as people who live and working around and observed anything out there. And we also look at the equipment, and in this case it's the pipeline itself largely and anything that goes with it. So we take a look at all those things, and that's part of our evidence gathering and then analysis. So that's part of what we're doing right now. We're identifying what all the materials are that these particular pipelines are made of, and as the chief just said, as we isolate where we think their leak occurred or their gas escaped, then we'll be able to hone in better on what those materials were.
Question about the timeline. Do you know how long it took from the call for the smell of gas earlier in the day, between that call and how long it took for Washington Gas to show up and start investigating?
We do not have that information. That would be Washington Gas's records. I can tell you that Fairfax County's 911 center received the call, and just over 5 minutes later, Fairfax County Fire and Rescue Departments and surrounding jurisdictions had units on scene at the reported house explosion.
Chief, considering
Let me just say, what what the NTSB will do right now is that we are gathering all that information for the timelines. The question is, what's the timeline for it happened from before the accident, during the accident, and past the accident. So we are collecting all that information, and we will create a timeline. And it can be complex because many people have a bit of information about it, and that's what we ask. If you have information about it, come to our witness at the ntsb.gov address and let us know if you have some further information. But we will. That's part of the investigation.
Chief, considering the magnitude, we've seen the video of the fire and the explosion, and the body cam video. You say there's 2 minor injuries. Is it pretty amazing that out of this, there's only 2 injuries, that you don't have a death toll that could have been considerably much higher, considering the magnitude, and so many pipelines running in this general vicinity?
Absolutely. I would say that the occupant of the house, who was inside at the time of the explosion and then was assisted out by a neighbor after the explosion, is extremely fortunate. And thankfully they had neighbors that were willing to step up and assist them in such a time of peril.
Supervisor Smith, there's been a few questions about accountability. I realize these agencies are probably not in the position to speak on behalf of Washington Gas, neither are you, but your constituents have a lot of questions for these companies who make a lot of money off of, you know, the services they provide. Would you like to see some more accountability from these companies that are out here and doing work and not answering questions from a lot of your constituents?
Kathy Smith, I'm the Sully District Supervisor. We have such great professionals that work in Fairfax County with the fire and the police. I think it should be reassuring to the community that NTSB is out here and they will ask the right questions. I totally understand the concern of the community because you want all the answers right away. But I think the most important thing for the community right now is these people behind me are going to make sure that the community is safe. And they won't let them back in their homes until they know they're safe. So lots of questions. The people behind me will find those answers. I will get information about that. But number one is keeping this community safe. Thank you.
Now that it's been determined at least which line is showing lots of pressure, will you continue checking all of the other lines, or will it not need to be a one-by-one?
Sure. Thank you for that question. The question was, will we continue checking all the lines in the area in a systematic approach? And I think it's important to reinforce that Fairfax County Fire and Rescue Department's role in this incident at this point is completely supporting and protecting the residents in the area. So as far as the testing systematically of the lines, we rely and support the efforts of both utility companies. We will be here to maintain atmospheric monitoring on a regular basis and report that up and record it and assist NTSB with their investigation.
And to clarify, so far, of the lines that have been tested, it's the one so far where the pressure, or the pressure, loss of pressure.
Yes, I can share that there's a line on Quail Pond Court, that was tested and maintained pressure. This is the second line that's being tested and it lost pressure. The extent of the leak yet to be determined.
Chief, and specifically, where is that 1,000-foot area that you're checking that's being looked at?
It runs alongside of the lot of the house that exploded in either direction.
You said 5200 block of
Belle Plains Drive.
and that's Washington.
It is a Washington Gas line, correct.
Chief, can you talk about the map to
Yes, so it's probably hard for everybody to see unless they have a camera. But the map to our right is a GIS representation of the purple is the easement that Williams Pipeline operates in, and it has multiple transmission lines in the area. The red box that borders that easement is identified as the house that had the reported explosion. The houses that are highlighted different colors, that's coding for our operations at the Instant Command Post to identify which homes, one, do not no longer have natural gas service provided to them, or have been shut off at the meter by us, and then secondly, those homes that have been evacuated by us and they found elsewhere to stay.
What is the latest number of the total evacuations still at this building?
Absolutely. Give me 1 second here. It peaked at 86 homes. We reoccupied 11 last night 11 that were determined to be in a very safe area, where our readings for the last 2.5 days have maintained 0 normal readings for the duration, and are quite a distance away from the impacted area. I'm sorry, 86 homes without gas service. My apologies. We peaked at 46 that were evacuated. 11 of those have since been reoccupied. Thank you. Yes. Appreciate the help. 35 outstanding. Look, it's really important to emphasize the fact that just because some have been deemed safe to reoccupy, that the entire area doesn't come looking to reoccupy their homes until the Fairfax County Fire Rescue Department deems it safe.
Just one point of clarity here. Something you had mentioned last night, or it was mentioned by some of the community meetings, that Washington Gas has been using laser tech all over the neighborhood to identify if any additional leaks were found. Are you aware if they've done this?
I can confirm that they are in the area using that laser technology, which I don't know much about, to find any leaks or abnormal readings. What the results have not been reported to us.
For the NTSB, how long do you expect you to be here, collecting the evidence and gathering information?
And just, sorry, real quick, we'll just take two more questions, and then we'll wrap it up. Thank you.
How would you compare?
I'm sorry, start over, would you? Would you repeat the question?
Yes. How long do you guys expect to be here collecting information, gathering evidence, and how would you compare this incident maybe to other ones you have investigated before as far as magnitude?
Yeah, so the question is, how long are we going to be there, and have we investigated other accidents? We're going to be here until we gather all the perishable evidence that we need to gather at this particular point in time, and that the area's been returned to a safe status and people can return to their homes. So that's the reason we'll be here. Have we investigated other accidents? We investigate many accidents across the nation that have similar aspects to this. You can find information on those on our website. So if you're interested in that, there's a library of information on that. One more question.
Chief, I guess you kind of touched on this earlier, so
Sure.
I apologize.
It's okay.
There's still a lot of work being done out there that's going to, that dictates the timeline. But best case scenario, worst case scenario, folks who are watching this wondering, maybe a couple of days? Are we looking at a week? Do we have any reasonable idea on kind of a timeline when this might be resolved?
I think you could see, at best case scenario, the majority of the homes being allowed to reoccupied no sooner than 48 hours from now, depending upon the status of the leak that Washington Gas finds and what those conditions are as they try to access their line, which is 6 to 8 feet generally in that area, access it, fix it, pressure test it, and then we go into all the homes and take all of our readings and ensure that they can maintain those normal readings. Absolutely.
So how big is the line? That's the question here.
I can't answer that. I would defer that to Washington Gas. Thank you all very much.
Actually, the Washington Gas is going to refer us to NTSB. They're saying they're a party in the investigation. Can NTSB clarify or?
So when we do the investigation, we will know what size all the pipes are. We will find out what the materials they are made of. We will find out when they were manufactured. We will know the dates they were manufactured. We will gather all that information, and then we will analyze it to determine whether any of that is germane to why the accident occurred, and then come up with recommendations on how to prevent it in the future.
Thank you.